Ma'am, I am directing you to stand clear of the entrance. The statement, delivered by a junior petty officer who appeared barely 20, was strained by an adopted tone of final command that did not sit comfortably with his age. He was posted at the east gate of the Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, holding his palm outward in a definitive gesture of denial. Rachel White halted, her striking red jacket a vivid contrast against the subdued khaki and gray tones of the military installation. She held her Department of Defense card coolly between her fingers. Several sailors walking toward the berthing units slowed, their interest caught by the quiet standoff. "I am only here to visit the base memorial," she explained, her voice steady and indicating no frustration. The young guard, whose name tag identified him as Davis, paid minimal attention to the ID card. His focus was fixed instead on her forearm, where her jacket sleeve had pulled up, exposing a distinct, meticulously detailed tattoo: the Navy SEAL Trident. The dark ink was slightly muted, suggesting it was well worn, and depicted the standard eagle, anchor, and flintlock pistol. "Cool artwork," Davis remarked, a condescending grin playing on his face. "Major enthusiast," he then leaned in, adopting a confidential whisper loud enough for bystanders to clearly overhear. "Look, ma'am, we comprehend. My relative is equally obsessed with the teams. She has an entire sleeve dedicated to this insignia. But you cannot arrive here with a civilian ID and expect entry. This is a high-security installation." "This is not a civilian credential," Rachel corrected calmly, extending the card once more. "It verifies my status as a retired service member." Davis finally accepted the card, inspecting it meticulously as though checking for signs of forgery. His smirk intensified. "Retired, you say? You appear somewhat youthful for retirement, ma'am." He called to his cohort, a seaman named Miller, who was already observing the situation with undisguised pleasure. "Miller, come look at this. We have a retired flag officer on our hands." Miller slowly approached, chewing gum in a relaxed, rhythmic fashion. He stretched his neck to see the ID, then visually dismissed Rachel, his eyes moving in a slow, patronizing survey from her hairstyle to her athletic footwear. "Retired from which organization? The Community Literature Group?" Both young men shared a laugh. Davis carelessly returned the identification card. "Dependents utilizing spouse privileges must register through the primary visitor center. Your husband may sponsor your entry, but this plastic item is hardly a guaranteed entry pass." Rachel made no movement to accept the card. Her expression remained tranquil, fixed just beyond Davis on the prominent sign for the Naval Special Warfare Center, set against the flawless California sky. Heat distorted the air above the road surface. In the background, the familiar rhythmic cadence of a BUDS training class running on the beach was audible, a sound deeply ingrained in her memory. "I would prefer that you submit the card for electronic scanning," she requested, her voice entirely flat. "The validation is registered within your system." Davis exhaled loudly, a gesture of feigned martyrdom. "Look, madam." He paused, his gaze returning to her tattoo. He pointed a finger towards it, nearly making contact with her skin. "You understand that wearing this particular insignia is highly significant. It must be earned. Individuals have sacrificed their lives for that emblem. You cannot simply tattoo it because you find it aesthetically pleasing or because your partner was a member of the teams." His final comment, delivered with careless cruelty, struck with surprising force. Rachel maintained her composure, yet a muscle near her jaw twitched, revealing a hint of deep, old trauma. The previously curious sailors had now fully stopped, forming a small audience. The encounter was escalating into a public performance centered on her humiliation. "Submit the card for scanning, petty officer," she reiterated. Her voice had lowered in pitch, stripped of its earlier cordiality, now conveying an inflexible, rock-solid resolve. Miller, recognizing the shift in atmosphere, stepped forward. "Enough is enough. Ma'am, you are creating a disturbance. We have explained the proper procedure. If authorization for base access is not established, we will be forced to instruct you to leave." "My authorization is documented on the card," Rachel firmly maintained. Frustrated, Davis snatched the identification back. "Very well. You insisted on the scan? You get the scan." He stomped towards the guard booth and ran the card through the reader. A glaring red indicator illuminated the monitor. Access denied. Davis spun around, his face set in a victorious sneer. "Denied. Precisely as I informed you. Now, will you voluntarily exit, or am I required to contact the Master-at-Arms to have you removed for attempting unauthorized entry with fraudulent credentials? You realize that constitutes a federal crime, don't you?" The charge of fraudulent hung sharply in the humid, salty air, a direct assault on every commitment and sacrifice she had ever made. The small assembly of onlookers murmured, their verdict already decided. A civilian admirer, an imposter attempting to leverage a non-existent military link. They judged her by her red jacket, her hair, and her quiet disposition, filling the gaps with their own preconceptions. Rachel extended her hand to retrieve her card. "There is an issue with your database. I require you to contact a supervisor." "Oh, I'll definitely place a call," Davis retorted instantly, his hand hovering near his radio. "But you won't appreciate the response." He leaned in aggressively, lowering his voice to a scornful growl. "That tattoo, honestly, is an absolute insult. My trainers would have physically removed that from your arm. You have zero comprehension of its significance." His finger briefly grazed her arm, touching the engraved eagle's wing. That slight physical contact acted as an instantaneous trigger. For a split second, the environment of the Coronado gate, the smug guards, the watching sailors, vanished. The fierce California sun was instantly replaced by the oppressive, dust-laden gloom of an Afghan night. The ocean scent was gone, replaced by the harsh smells of ozone, cordite, and fresh, metallic blood. She was no longer on asphalt. She was kneeling deep in sand, the grit embedding itself beneath her gloved fingers. The gentle coastal breeze transformed into the low, menacing drone of a high-altitude surveillance aircraft. An intensely familiar, deep, and calming voice, echoing through the decade, cut through the sensory fog. "Steady, Ray. Keep your hands stable, just as we trained. You are capable of this." The vision disappeared as suddenly as a flash of intense lightning, leaving the present reality feeling stark and muted. Rachel quickly retracted her arm with a sudden, sharp motion. The unflappable composure she had maintained for years was finally beginning to show the first hairline fractures. Unnoticed by the two petty officers, an older gentleman had been observing the escalating situation from a bench 50 yards distant. He was a seasoned Master Chief petty officer, his face a deeply lined testament to numerous deployments, his skin the color of well-worn leather. Initially, the gate dispute held little interest, as such arguments were commonplace. However, he began to pay attention when he registered the woman's stance. She was not merely relaxed, but noticeably at ease. This posture indicated a lifetime spent in environments requiring constant vigilance, a physique trained to preserve energy while remaining instantly ready for action. He then spotted the tattoo. Unlike the guards, he recognized more than just the design. He noted its patina of age and its specific location. Crucially, he observed the deep exhaustion in the woman's eyes as she absorbed the casual ridicule. He overheard Petty Officer Davis pronounce the name from the ID aloud. Rachel White. The name impacted the Master Chief like a sudden physical shock. White. He slowly rose, his knees audibly protesting. He knew that name well. He had served with Lieutenant Commander Michael "Mikey" White, an exceptional team leader within SEAL Team 3. He recalled the fierce, unwavering devotion Mikey held for his wife. An explosive ordnance disposal, EOD Technician, who, Mikey often joked, surpassed them all in toughness. He remembered the subsequent, hushed discussions following that devastating final operation in the Helmand province. The Master Chief, identified as Thorne, was hit by a paralyzing realization. He knew precisely who was being subjected to harassment at the main entry point. He spun around, retrieving his phone with grave urgency. He bypassed the official security line. Instead, he navigated his contacts to a name holding absolute authority across the entire installation. The line connected after a single ring. "Commander Evans, sir. This is Master Chief Thorne," he communicated, his voice subdued yet urgent. "Sir, your immediate presence is required at the East Gate." A moment of silence followed. "What is the emergency, Master Chief? Is the assessment team ahead of schedule?" "Negative, sir," Thorne responded, his voice deliberately lowered. "It's Rachel White." Inside the Naval Special Warfare Command HQ, Commander David Evans rubbed the bridge of his nose in frustration. A perimeter disturbance was the least welcome distraction. He was submerged in critical budgeting and operational planning. "Thorne, I am preoccupied. Direct the Master-at-Arms team to resolve it." "Sir, with profound respect, this specific situation necessitates your personal intervention," Thorne asserted. The unwavering gravity in the veteran Master Chief's voice commanded Evans's attention. Thorne was not prone to exaggeration. "The guards are aggressively confronting her. They are preparing to summon the military police, accusing her of stolen valor." The term, combined with the name Rachel White, struck Evans with shocking force. He sprang upright from his seat. "Repeat that, Master Chief." "You heard precisely, sir. They are mocking the tattoo of her husband's trident." Commander Evans was simultaneously seized by a chilling dread and a white-hot wave of rage. He cut the mic. "Lieutenant," he snapped at his aide in the adjacent office, "retrieve the service record for a Master Chief Petty Officer, Rachel White, explosive ordnance disposal, retired, immediately." The junior officer moved instantly. Moments later, the digital file loaded onto Evans's screen, summarizing an extraordinary career. The display showed a photograph of a younger woman, possessing the same resolute eyes, dressed in dusty desert camouflage. Her rank, EODCM, Master Chief, the peak of the enlisted hierarchy. He quickly reviewed her awards. Bronze Star with V device, Purple Heart, numerous combat action ribbons. Her deployment log read like a chronological history of high-risk conflict zones: Fallujah, Ramadi, Helmand. His gaze stopped at a crucial detail. Deployed with Naval Special Warfare Task Unit Bravo, 2011-2013. Attached to SEAL Team 3. At the file's foot was a linked profile. Lieutenant Commander Michael "Mikey" White. Status: Killed in Action, KIA. An associated photograph depicted the couple, impossibly youthful and smiling, pose before an armored vehicle. Evans reactivated his mic. "Thorne, ensure she stays put. I am mobilizing." Evans terminated the call, snatched his cover, and rose abruptly, the chair scraping loudly across the floor. "Retrieve my vehicle," he commanded his aide. "Locate the command Master Chief. Direct him to meet me at the front entrance immediately." Back at the gate, Petty Officer Davis had moved into a final, reckless position, fueled by the denial light and Rachel's unnerving silence. He was fully committed to his self-created role as the righteous guardian against fraud. "This is your final chance, ma'am," he stated, his hand resting conspicuously on his radio. "Comply now, and I will disregard this incident. Should I initiate this call, however, you will face severe repercussions." He listed the invented charges: impersonation of a senior NCO, fraudulent entry, and unauthorized wear of insignia, gesturing forcefully at the tattoo. "That is a severe list of felonies. Do you truly wish to face the consequences?" He was relishing the momentary, intoxicating surge of authority over a person he had already irrevocably judged. He genuinely believed he was upholding the sacred integrity of the Trident. Rachel simply met his gaze, silent. Her composure was an immense, deep void, absorbing his threats without a trace of effect. Infuriated by her unyielding resistance, he spat, "Have it your way." He lifted the radio to his mouth, pressing the transmission button. "Eastgate to dispatch, reporting a potential stolen Valor situation, requesting—" He was interrupted mid-sentence. The first sign was an intensifying, low-engine roar. Moving with a speed highly unusual for routine base traffic, a convoy materialized. 2 black Chevrolet Suburbans and a command truck. They pulled up with precise synchronization, completely blocking the lane. Before the lead Suburban even stopped, a tall, imposing figure in an immaculate Navy uniform stepped out. The silver eagles of the captain were on his collar, but it was the gold SEAL Trident pinned to his chest that commanded all attention. This was Commander David Evans, the commanding officer of the Naval Special Warfare Center. Behind him, his Command Master Chief emerged. Davis and Miller froze instantly. The radio slipped from Davis's numb fingers. The silent, powerful arrival of the command team indicated a major crisis. Commander Evans did not spare a glance for the gate guards. His granite-cold eyes immediately found Rachel. He strode directly past Davis and Miller, as if they were transparent, his boots clicking sharply on the asphalt. He stopped 2 feet in front of her. The atmosphere crackled. The expected interrogation never materialized. Instead, Commander Evans clicked his heels together sharply. His voice, cutting through the thick silence, held a crystal-clear timbre of reverence, devoid of any command harshness. "Master Chief White," he proclaimed, his gaze locked firmly on hers. "On behalf of the entire command, I extend a solemn welcome back to Coronado. The honor is entirely ours." A collective inhalation of breath swept through the onlookers. Davis's face instantly shifted from flushed red to an alarming, ghostly white. The sailors were stunned. "Master Chief?" Rachel offered a nod, an acknowledgement of mutual respect between professionals, before Evans let his hand drop. He pivoted slowly, deliberately confronting the 2 paralyzed sailors. His voice lost all trace of warmth, becoming a chilling, controlled instrument of command fury. "Petty Officer Davis," he stated, reading the name tape. "Do you possess any comprehension of this individual's identity?" He continued, raising his voice just enough to ensure the onlookers heard every damning word. "This is Master Chief Rachel White, an explosive ordnance disposal technician. She served 24 years in the U.S. Navy. She possesses expertise in asymmetrical warfare that you will never attain. In her career, she personally rendered safe over 200 IEDs in combat zones. For 3 combat rotations, she was directly attached to SEAL Team 3, my unit. She consistently walked point, clearing the route so operators could reach their targets." Evans gestured toward the Trident tattoo on Rachel's arm. "You observe that insignia? It is a memorial. It honors her husband, Lieutenant Commander Mikey White, killed in action in 2013. You inquire how deeply she understands the Trident's meaning. The IED that claimed his life was part of a complex system. While his team was suppressed by enemy engagement, Master Chief White low-crawled 50 meters under fire to the secondary device, neutralizing it to clear the landing zone for extraction. She executed this task feet from her husband's body. She acquired the undeniable right to that insignia through her own courage and sacrifice at a level you cannot begin to imagine. A wave of shame washed over the audience. Evans turned to his command Master Chief. "Master Chief, escort these two individuals to my office. They are relieved of all duty, effective immediately." The Command Master Chief nodded grimly, guiding the two petty officers away. They moved like defeated prisoners, their faces bearing the absolute mark of disgrace. Evans then faced Rachel again, his expression softening. "Master Chief, I am profoundly sorry for the disrespect you were shown. It is an unacceptable failure of our standards." Rachel watched the two young sailors being led away. A flicker of unreadable sorrow crossed her eyes. She looked back at the commander. "The standard is the standard, sir," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "It's not higher for us, and it's not lower. Your men just need to learn how to apply it to everyone." Her lesson was simple, elegant, and devastating. It wasn't about her feelings. It was about the integrity of the institution they had both served. She wasn't asking for special treatment, only for fair and equal application of the rules. As Commander Evans spoke of her disarming the final IED, the memory flashed again, this time with searing, heartbreaking clarity. The world was dust and noise, the ringing in her ears a constant scream. She was on her stomach, the metal shell of the pressure plate device cool against her cheek. Her instruments were laid out beside her on the bloody sand. A few feet away lay her husband, his body still, one arm outstretched. On his forearm was the same tattoo, his own trident stark against his skin. Her hands, covered in his blood and her own sweat, moved with a supernatural calm, clipping wires, disabling the trigger. She wasn't thinking. She was just working. It was a sacred, terrible duty, a final act of service for him, for his team. The tattoo she would later get was not a copy. It was a continuation of the one she saw in that last awful moment. It was a promise to carry his legacy with her forever. In the weeks that followed, the incident at the East Gate sent ripples through the command. Commander Evans instituted mandatory command-wide training on professional conduct and proper ID verification procedures. A clear statement in itself. A new standing order was posted at every entry point explicitly detailing the protocol for handling retired and veteran credentials, with a special emphasis on verifying records before making accusations. One afternoon, Rachel was in the base commissary picking up a few things. As she rounded an aisle, she came face to face with the young man, Davis. He was in a different uniform now, a simple working coverall assigned to a groundskeeping crew. He had been reassigned, his security clearance under review. When he saw her, he froze, his face flushing with shame. He looked down at the floor, then forced himself to meet her eyes. He took a hesitant step forward. "Master Chief," he began, his voice barely a whisper. There's nothing I can say, but I have to try. I am so sorry for everything. What I said, what I did, there's no excuse." The arrogance was gone, replaced by a raw, genuine remorse. Rachel looked at him, studying his face. She saw not a monster, but a kid who had been taught the wrong lessons. She could have walked away. Instead, she saw an opportunity. "You're young, petty officer," she said, her voice neutral, not angry. "You have a long career ahead of you if you want it. This doesn't have to be the end of it." He looked up, surprised. "Learn from this," she continued. "Don't just learn the regulations better. Learn to see the sailor, not the gender. See the uniform, not your own reflection in it. The Navy is filled with people who don't look like you, but who have sacrificed just as much, if not more. Your job isn't to guard a stereotype. It's to guard a base. Do your job." She gave a small nod, then pushed her cart past him, leaving him standing in the aisle, humbled and ready to learn. Rachel White's story is a testament to the quiet strength of our nation's heroes. If you believe in honoring their service, like this video, subscribe to She Chose Fortitude, and share this story so their legacy is never forgotten.